This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition. Before this video starts, I want to give a little context real quick because I don't know if I quite explained it correctly in the video itself. I had a service call on the ice machine not working. The customer said that they've been having an issue for a couple weeks now where every morning when they come in, they have to reset the safety limit on the circuit board. Okay, so the Hoshizaki ice machines have a safety. If it does something wrong inside the machine, it has I think it's like 4 or 5 different things that it will shut the machine down and give you an audible beep to tell you why it shut off. Okay, but with the Hoshizaki machines, once you reset it, it's done. It doesn't save a history. So the customer had been resetting it themselves. I didn't show them, but someone else did show them how to reset their board. So they reset it, and then they called me out and said the machine is beeping every morning. And then the first thing that I asked them is, how many times was it beeping? And they were like, we don't know. And then they finally got a hold of someone, and that person was adamant it only beeps one time every morning, only in the morning. So that kind of led me down a path when you guys will see that actually wasn't the case. Okay, so it led me down a little path, and I started investigating why it would be beeping one time, which is high evaporator temperature. Okay, so you guys will get it, and then I'll see you guys in the end and give you a recap. Today's service call is on a Hoshizaki ice machine that's not working properly, and the complaint is that every morning they have to hit the reset button and it's beeping. The problem is that it's already been reset, and we don't know how many times it was beeping. So I wasn't the one that reset it, it was the customer. So I got to open it up and try to figure it out. But what's curious to me is that it's full of ice. But they said every morning it's making a consistent, she thinks it's one beep, but we don't know for sure. Which is one of those things we run into. Sometimes that can be a problem when people reset things. But so we got to figure out why we're full of ice and what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is cycle it off on the bin stat. Remember, I kind of ignore the first one so long as it doesn't take too long. 22, 23, it's taking quite a while. But again, the first usually takes the longest, and it's every time after that that you really want to pay attention to. Take about 30 seconds. Let's see how long it takes to turn on. Grab it with your hand, warm it up. 3 seconds. Let's turn it off again. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 3 seconds. 1 Mississippi. So it's 3 seconds off, 3 seconds on. So I mean, it's like it's working. It's very interesting, but it's peculiar that it's full of ice. We do have very low water pressure, but it's not horrible. It's about 20 psi, but still, I don't like how low that water pressure is. This is the difficult things when they reset them. We run into these problems, or we got to try to guess. I was curious if we have hot water coming to the machine, but I'm not sensing it. Whenever we have a warm evaporator, I always want to check to see if we have plate separation. So grab the stationary tube right there and try to move it up and down and see. Now, don't mistake just the flex that naturally happens, but you don't want to see this tube right here move within the evaporator. So usually just grab it and push up. And you will get separation on older evaporators. I just check them all, but usually you want to do it when the evaporator is warm. So right in a defrost, like right now, it's just turned on. So we just went into a freeze mode right now. So yeah, this is very peculiar. I don't know this beeping that they're hearing. I don't know what it is. I mean, the machines have a safety limit, but I didn't get to hear it. Interestingly enough, they say it only happens first thing in the morning, right when they walk in. And if you look at that, we've got a full bin. So I have a theory that they've got a hot water mixing valve that is bad, and it's allowing hot water to come to the machine. I've seen this happen before. And you'll only see it in the morning because when nobody's using any water, the machine will it'll be the only thing using the water, and it'll sense hot water and shut off. And they're saying they're only hearing one beep. So, you know, it's a possibility that it could be a thermistor or a hot gas valve stuck on. But if that was the case, I would think it would be happening during the day too. And they said it's been happening for a couple weeks now, and it only happens first thing in the morning. A single beep is high evaporator temperature, which makes me think that they have hot water going to the machine. But right now there's not hot water, it's 72 degrees. But it just makes me wonder at nighttime if they're getting hot water to this machine. Again, I'm just kind of taking guesses here, and so I'm investigating the hot gas valve, and it doesn't feel like it's bypassing. It doesn't feel it's leaking by, but I will say, if you look at the bottom of those hot gas lines right there, there's oil on them. Looks like there might be oil, and there was a droplet a minute ago that I grabbed with my fingers. Right back in there. So, I'm going to do a quick leak check. See if we've got a refrigerant leak possibly on that hot gas valve. So I'm checking the hot gas valve, and I mean, I'm not getting a leak, but there's oil all over it, so it's got to be there. And I can see visible oil on it, but it's interesting, I can see oil on this valve too, and I'm picking up a leak right in here. On this one for sure. These solenoid valves leak. It's very common for them, so I'm gonna put some bubbles on this one over here. For the life of me, I mean, I might see a few micro clusters, but that is it, man. There's nothing popping up on this one, but I'm telling you, there was oil all over this valve, which, like I said, there's a history of these things leaking, so if I change that liquid line solenoid valve, which is the one down below, I'm probably going to change this one too, just because of the high leak rate that they have. I'm trying to move the stem around to see if I can get it to leak. Careful though, the thing will blow off in my face. Ah, there it is. Right in the stem. Popping up. It's this tiny bubble right up here in the stem that just appeared when I kind of moved this. Yep, so I'm pretty confident there's a leak there. But my fear is I still don't know what again, they're saying single beep. I mean, a leaking hot gas valve is not going to cause it to run high evap temp, so I don't know. I really want to hear this beeping sound, but I already know that we have leaks. I'm tempted to come back first thing tomorrow morning and reset it myself just so I can hear which safety is going off. What I did was I turned the machine off, turned it back on. That's going to force it into a harvest, defrost all the water off, all the ice off the evaporator. And I'm going to take pressure readings. Hoshizaki wants you to take pressure readings at the 5-minute mark, and it should match up to their tech spec book. So we're going to wait for the cycle to start. Once the water pump turns on, that means that we're in the freeze cycle. Then we'll wait 5 minutes, and then we'll take a reading of the pressures and then compare it to the book just to confirm that we're low on refrigerant, which I'm pretty confident we are. The unit is currently still going through its harvest, and again, we've got a warm refrigerant lines coming into the evaporator. The moment that the thermistor, which is tucked back in here, it's this little wire right here, the moment that the thermistor senses the certain temperature, I can't remember that number off the top of my head, and then when the water pump turns on, that's the moment that the machine, actually no, it takes one more second here. We'll know when the hot gas valves turn off, then we'll know we're in defrost. Alright, so the hot gas valve turned off. Water pump's now running, and we're going to start our timer. In the 5-minute mark, we'll check our pressures. So we're looking low on our head pressure. Our suction pressure is kind of on point, which is a little disconcerting because I'd like to see both of them low to really validate low refrigerant charge. But we know we have a leak because we're picking it up. I'm still concerned though because I didn't see the safety limit that they're resetting. So I don't really have time to come back tomorrow, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call them and have them call me before they reset it. That way they can tell me exactly how many times it was beeping. That'll make me feel a little bit better. And I'll make sure too that when I quote this, I'm going to cover my ass basically and just say we gotta fix these problems first before we can go any further. So that's where we're at. We're just gonna submit a quote. I got all the information, model and serial number, how much refrigerant. We're gonna change liquid line solenoid valve, liquid line dryer, hot gas valve. I'll change both strainers. I'm sorry, the single strainer and both check valves. What do you know? It wasn't a single beep after all. It's a 3 beep. So we're here to go ahead and make these repairs today. So got all kinds of parts and we'll see what we can do. It's been a couple weeks since I've been out here and you can see that there's clearly still oil all over that, and then also back in there's clearly oil all over that valve too. So these solenoid valves, I don't know what it is lately. They've been having a history of leaking. So we're gonna start by hooking up the MegaFlow kit to make for a faster recovery. We're gonna recover from these guys. On the Hoshis, you have to do a 3-point recovery unless you open up the solenoid valves, which I'll probably end up doing that. All right, we're hooked up. Open the valves. I'll worry about solenoid valves in a few minutes. Got refrigerant pressure here. Got refrigerant pressure here. And then now what we're gonna do is purge at the tank. Right here. If we can. Safely. Without the damn thing blowing off. Make sure we get all the air out of the lines. Good. Okay. Now we need to weigh everything as it comes out. So we're gonna go ahead and set up our scale. Close our out. Go ahead and open this guy up. We got in a little bit of initial, but it's okay. I haven't weighed that yet. Okay. I like to invert my tanks. And we got a scale. Zero this guy out. And something that I like to do, I'm actually gonna fix this. Just in case there's a problem with the scale, I like to zero it out, then put the tank on there and write down that measurement. Wow, that weighs a lot less than I thought it would. 15 pounds, 9 ounces, we'll write that down. And then that way, in case the scale died or something like that, we have a reference. All right, so I opened up the high side port. We're plugged in. We're just kind of letting the refrigerant bleed over what's in there. And we're ready to turn this guy on. There we go. And then I'll get up here and figure out how to energize these solenoid coils. I'll just use my magnets probably. It's kind of a chore because these Hoshi solenoid coils, they have a metric screw in the top. So you gotta use like a tiny crescent wrench or a Phillips if you can get it in there. But anyways, we've got solenoid magnets up here. Got one up there on the hot gas valve. So now we're just waiting. Wait for this guy to recover. See where we're at right now. So the true test will be, does it have the factory charge in it or is it actually low? We know it's low, but you want to pay attention, look at the big picture. You know, as I'm recovering the gas, if all of a sudden it has the factory charge, then I need to figure something out. Something's going wrong, you know. While I'm waiting for the recovery, I went ahead and sanded everything up as best as possible. Some of the things are a little difficult back in there, but the dryer sanded up. Hoshizakis, they tend to be a little bit of a pain when you're recovering because there tends to be a lot of trapped vapor in the oil in the compressor. And then we've obviously got some boiling out of some oil inside the receiver too. So you can see the frost. So I like to let them run a little bit longer. Even though this unit has a leak, I'm not gonna reuse the refrigerant. So we're just about done now. What I'll do is I'll shut off the machine and the outlet and see if our pressures rise. We'll give it a second, see if they rise up. If they don't, then we'll be good. So the pressures didn't rise above positive, or they didn't go into the positive, so I went ahead and took the ports off, or the hoses off. Definitely we're short. All right, cool. As I'm brazing, I realized that the kitchen AC's returns are right above my head, so blanked them off for a minute. The AC's not running at the moment, it's just the fan, so that way we don't set off a duct detector. Look at that inlet to the dryer and you'll notice a puff of smoke coming out of it right at the tail end. That's because this entire time while I'm fitting, unbrazing, and then brazing everything in, I have got nitrogen purging through the system to try to help. Now, I'm not a perfect technician. I'm not always brazing with nitrogen, but in certain situations when I can, I do, and it definitely helps. So that way I can make sure that I can pull a better vacuum and make sure that, you know, we don't get any contaminants that we don't need to in the system. Okay, everything's brazed in. I'm gonna do one last little check, and then we're gonna give it a purge with nitrogen, and then get the vacuum pump running, and then we'll start doing the electrical and hooking everything up. I'm just gonna do one more solid look over to make sure that we didn't miss anything. I really do like the feature on the Fieldpiece VP85, and there's a similar feature on the Appion Tez 8 too, where you can do the on-the-fly oil change. So in my situation, I started my evacuation, let it pull down to I think 2,000 or 1,000 microns, and then because I could tell the oil was getting kind of cloudy, went ahead and did an on-the-fly oil change. That way I could get a much deeper vacuum. And one of the things too on the VP85 vacuum pump is you have the gas ballast too. So even before I got down to, I think up to 2,000 microns, I had the gas ballast open. Then I closed it, got it down to 1,000 microns, then changed the oil. So anyways, but yeah, I really like that feature on this pump, and I have no affiliation with Fieldpiece other than occasionally testing products for them. So take it for what it is. Now this is a very important piece of advice that I can give you, in that while I'm working on the machine, I got all my equipment there, the customer still needs ice, okay? So I'm keeping on top of, instead of getting annoyed by them coming to me saying, hey, can we get ice, can we get ice, can you move your ladder? The entire time as I'm working, I'm filling their ice buckets for them, putting them to the side, they come and grab them, and whenever I notice they're empty, I fill them again. It seems like, hey, this isn't my job, but it saves you time in the long run because it keeps the customer from asking you at the wrong time to move your ladder. In my situation, I've got my vacuum pump sitting on top of my ladder, and if I let the customer move it, someone would get hurt. So always think about the customer's best interest. It's going to make you look like a better technician. It's going to make everything operate more efficiently and more smoothly. All right, I'm going to zero out the scale. Pressure's on here. We need to purge. We need to purge all the way up to here, so we're going to go ahead and open this, and open this, and then purge all the way up to here, all the way up to there. That way we're nice and purged. And then we can go ahead and open these guys. Okay, zero out our scale, and zero this out too. This one has the scale reading on it also. Okay, check our factory charge. It is 10 pounds, 5.8 ounces. 10 pounds, 5.8 ounces. So go ahead and dump it in the liquid line. See how much it'll take. And we're going to turn it on and do a leak test, and then evaluate the pressures and start cleaning up my mess. I got a huge mess here everywhere, so about 2 pounds in. Right. Turn it back on. It's going to go through the fill process and all that good stuff, and then when it goes into freeze mode, we'll start charging it. So it's started in its harvest right now because the Hoshi's always starting to harvest. So I can put a little bit in there, you just got to be careful. I checked the hot gas valves. They're both the lines coming off going through the check valves are hot, so that means we're feeding through both check valves, so that's a plus. Be careful though charging it in a defrost, because it's just dumping refrigerant back to the compressor. I'd rather wait until it goes into a freeze mode and meters through the expansion valves, because it's just dumping that refrigerant. I could just do it slowly. There we go. We're in a freeze mode now. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting it in. Just metering it slowly through the low side. So we went 10 pounds, 5.8 ounces. That's us. We're there. So that's good. We're gonna let it, I'm gonna turn it off. And then we're gonna turn it back on and start a cycle and start writing down the pressures and compare them to the tech specs book. All right, so we just hit the 5-minute mark and we're at about 63 and 277. So we're a little bit high on the suction pressure, but much better compared to what it was before. We're gonna let it run a couple cycles. The book says for 100 degrees, at the most 59 and 301, and at the lowest 230 and 52, and that's dependent on your water temperature. So I would imagine our water temperature is somewhere in the 70-degree range. So we're not bad at all. Not bad at all. So I'm just gonna watch it make a couple batches of ice and then start cleaning up my messes. All right, so we're gonna do a quick leak check. Nothing, just hitting all the welds. Nothing. Check the rest of the machine. Nothing. So we're good. We got it. So we're just gonna let it run. Okay, so we've started our new freeze cycle. So this is what we're at. So we're gonna hit. We'll write those numbers down. So we had a 40-minute freeze and a 2.5-minute harvest. And then we'll go ahead and hit reset and start. And then at the 5-minute mark, we'll do this again. Check the pressures, write them down, and then come up with a good, make sure we get good ice coming out of this machine, make sure it makes it a couple times before we leave. All right, we just finished our second freeze cycle, and I'm waiting for the harvest to complete. Everything's looking good. The timing is looking a lot better. So we had a 36-minute freeze cycle. The refrigerant pressures were pretty much on point with what the manufacturer says they should be. Oftentimes when you start these up, after it being off for so long, you'll run the first cycle, you almost want to like wipe out of the picture and then just pay attention to the second and third cycle. So we're just waiting for this guy. So what I do is I hit lap, so that tells me where my cycle's at, 36.5, and then I'll hit lap again when the harvest stops. And this will be it. We'll tell them to keep an eye on it. I think we're going to be good though. Feeling the hot gas lines. They're both nice and warm. And we just came out, so we hit lap one more time and then hit stop. Now you can see we have a 36 and a half minute freeze cycle and 2.5 minute harvest cycle. So that's why I like doing these papers. Cool, so we're good. We're gonna call this one quits. Sometimes we run into these things where, you know, the customer leads us down that path and we spend some time investigating, when in fact that wasn't the case, okay? The customer was mistaken and it was actually beeping 3 times. I'm okay with customers trying to reset their own stuff, you know, flip circuit breakers, whatever, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just flipping the switch. Oftentimes customers think, oh, it's simple, I'll just reset it and move on, when in fact they're causing themselves more trouble. Now, it wasn't a huge amount, but this made me spend more time on this job because I was investigating something that they told me happened when in fact it didn't happen. In this situation, in a perfect world, had the customer not gotten into their machine and reset it and just called me the first time, maybe we could have saved them an hour or two of me troubleshooting some stuff, okay? Again, it's not the end of the world. I don't mind. I'm not upset. It just made me think a little bit harder and made me look at the problem a little bit more. But, you know, everybody's free to do whatever they want to their own equipment, but there is repercussions sometimes, okay? And Hoshizaki machines, this is a common thing. You know, people will, and, you know, get on the internet, look up a YouTube video or something on how to repair their own equipment, how to troubleshoot their own equipment. And sometimes they could be making it harder or more time consuming for the service technician that inevitably will usually come out and end up troubleshooting and or repairing the equipment, okay? So again, nothing against people that want to try to troubleshoot their own stuff, but give me the tools that I need. Give me the information that I need. If you're going to reset it, in a situation like that, the customer, in my opinion, should call me and say, hey, my machine's going off. I'm going to reset it. Is there anything I should check? And then I say, okay, do me a favor. Tell me how many times it's beeping. Then hit it reset. And then usually I would tell them, if it happens again, you need to call me. I usually give it one shot. Same thing with a circuit breaker. Okay, this is a safety thing, but with a circuit breaker, I tell the customer, don't ever reset a circuit breaker more than once if you're going to do it. You know, because customers want to reset things. And I said, if you have to reset a circuit breaker, I prefer them not reset it, but if they are, do not ever reset a circuit breaker more than once. If it trips again, there's something wrong. You don't sit there and keep resetting it, okay? Same thing on this ice machine. The customer said, you know, hey, it's been doing this for a couple weeks. We've been resetting it. We're just tired of pushing the button. Okay, obviously there's something wrong there. In this situation, they probably didn't cause any more damage, but in some situations, they can cause more damage and end up costing themselves more money. So you want to be very careful, or, you know, I like to instruct the customers to be very careful to make sure that they're not resetting something like this so that way they don't cost themselves some more money, okay? I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos. Do me a favor, leave me some feedback. Let me know what you think, okay? Are you a customer watching these videos? Am I completely wrong in telling you guys to be careful about resetting stuff? I'm interested in your feedback. Let me know, okay? If you're a technician watching these, I'm interested in knowing what you think I could have done better, how you would have done the job differently. I love criticism. I love reading things because it gives me a different perspective, and it helps me to approach problems in a different way possibly, okay? Because maybe you guys have something to add to help me with my troubleshooting skills. So please, please, please leave me some feedback down in the YouTube comments. If you guys don't already know, I do live streams Monday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific time to discuss these videos. Just like right now, I definitely usually go over the comments, all the comments that you guys have sent me. I pick the best ones and I address them live. There's also other ways to get a hold of me. I'm available on Instagram. I have a Twitter. I'm available on Facebook. Just look up HVACR videos. You can email me, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, or put comments down in the YouTube comments. I try to address them on the live stream. And then also there's a whole nother section to the live stream, the live chat that's going on. Then I get new questions. So come check out the live stream. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate it. Other than that, we will catch you guys on the next one, okay?